Okay, it's Mike. It's Total Religion Dystopia, Knowing versus Belief. Some people call me O.R.D. Maybe this is what I should go by, O.R.D. But anyways, they used to. Sometimes I have, but anyways. Adventures Beyond the Body, How to Experience Out-of-Body Travel by William Buhlman. So we're still in the New Frontier portion of the book. We're on page 119. We talked a little bit about, we just finished reading up some stuff about characters like Wayne Dyer and Bernie Siegel and Deepak Chopra. And I warned you guys about them, and they're not telling you the whole story. That's why they're on television. So I would just beware listening to them, along with other people like Norman Vincent Peale. End up, I had some amazing things happen in the beginning, but there was a heavy price at the end. They never tell you about that one, so I'm telling you about that one. We also read about David Bohm, another visionary physicist, and other writers like Michael Talbot and Heinz Pagels and Nick Herbert and blah, blah, blah. We got to the point of where we mentioned Robert Monroe, which is someone that I've been introducing folks to concerning the Loosh, what these spirits, these entities feed off us from. We produce a form of spiritual food for them, spiritual energy that they feed off. Paul Titchell is the modern founder of the Eckankar, that's capital Eckankar, Eckankar, I think that's how you pronounce it. His many books, more than 30, introduce and detail the historical influence of out-of-body exploration upon the evolution of the human race. Considered by some to have been a modern master of out-of-body travel, he was instrumental in introducing the subject of non-physical explorations to people throughout the world. Movie producers such as George Lucas and Gene Roddenberry have helped to expand human imagination beyond earthbound visions of reality. Their images of the future encourage all of us to see beyond the dense limits we now experience. Science fiction writers as a group are some of the most talented visionaries. For those who may doubt, remember the far-fetched stories by Jules Verne, his 19th century submarines, spaceships, airships, and lunar exploration were considered outrageous ideas in his day. Some of us question about the lunar exploration yet, but that may happen. There is a reason though why they train underwater and not in a vacuum in space. So, anyways, that's something else. Betty Eadie, I guess I should pronounce her name, author of Embraced by the Light, and her last name is spelled Eadie. So I don't know how you pronounce it, so I'm not going to try. I'm going to read Edie. Maybe it's Betty Eadie. Maybe that's what it is. So, the author of Embraced by the Light and others who have come forward to share their near-death experiences will continue to have an impact on the collective unconscious of humankind. Their uplifting accounts of personal journeys within the magnificent unseen dimensions of the universe have sparked worldwide debate and interest in the concept of non-physical realities and our place in the universe. These personal accounts have non-physical explorations within the inner dimensions of the universe, provide more than just comforting evidence of our immortality. Millions of people are awakening to the realization that answers to the mysteries of our existence are available. And many of these mystery schools are what they propose to answer the mysteries of our existence, right? The mystery schools. An important question is emerging. If a few of us can experience and explore the non-physical realms of the universe, then why can't all of us? This realization is a major step in the growth of the human race. This process of change is inevitable, since all of us are approaching a time where we will shed our biological vehicles and enter the non-physical dimensions of the universe. The significance of these non-physical explorations in the interior of the universe is not the stories themselves, but the relationships that such explorations are possible and even obtainable by all of us. As the evolution of consciousness continues, more individuals will step forward to offer new and daring insights into the nature of reality and the purpose of our existence. Our evolution will continue to be influenced by people from many walks of life: writers, musicians, inventors, healers, and movie producers and directors, and let's don't forget about other people like magicians, sorcerers, and witches, and mystics, and all hosts of other people that apparently we're not allowed to talk about. Often they will be unaware of their impact on society. Their ideas and images go out into the world like ripples on the surface of a pond, creating a slight movement of thought and consciousness for millions of people. For example, the movies E.T., Cocoon, and Ghost appear on the surface to be lighthearted adventure fantasies. However, the nearly 2 billion people who watched these movies came away with a new viewpoint about the area of life unknown and unexplored by modern science. This is a very important to touch base on a little bit. These mainstream movies that we grew up with, the ones in which they paid multiple millions of dollars for, who were they? They weren't just simple investors. They were the military and governments. And they wanted to steer and direct the message, right? The official message, the authoritative message. What you'll find is when you do more studying and reading, you'll find how absolutely superficial those movies are, and how they really were led to have people think that they're just something but fantasy, although he says otherwise, adventure fantasies. The truth is much more bizarre and much more precarious, much more adventurous, much more edifying, and much more dangerous, as it always is the case. In the 21st century, a new form of entertainment and imagery will escort us into the non-physical levels of the universe, and that would be the internet, by the way, and all the images that we are creating via it. This will be a gradual evolution from traditional movies to increasingly interactive adventures and implementing virtual reality technology. And now we're talking about the metaverse, in which they'll have total capture over you. You don't behave, you're unplugged. I don't think it's a good place to go, or at least to stay. I think the movie Matrix taught us that, whether he intended or not. At least that was one part. Needless to say, the Matrix was once again financed by the oligarchs, the power elite, the governments, yeah, it says one thing, but apparently there was much more deeper Gnostic messages that were supposed to be shared that weren't shared. And of course they say, well, you can't share that by the movies. Of course not, when you're implanting images into our brains instead of education and information that's actually useful and valuable for us. Anyway, saying that, the Matrix did cause many people to think, to wake up and to realize that there's something deeper, more nefarious and sinister going on in our world when it comes to the Matrix that we live in. In other words, a dualistic system, there's good and evil. And how do we get ourselves aligned to the light, the way, the truth, and the life? Right? Just food for thought. In the 21st century, a new form of entertainment and imagery will escort us into the non-physical levels of the universe. This will be a gradual evolution from traditional movies to increasingly interactive adventures implementing virtual reality technology. In the 21st century, virtual reality programming will become a popular springboard for self-controlled, out-of-body explorations into the interior of the universe. And I don't think this is a very good idea, because now we're going to have certain people and certain entities to guide your out-of-body experience, whereas prior to this, staying out of it, you have more of an option of having your own true personal experience. This is something that's red flags over this. As we progress, it will become evident that the evolution of technology and the evolution of human consciousness are interrelated in ways beyond our current comprehensions. Eventually, each of us will evolve beyond the chrysalis of matter, and like the chrysalis of a cocoon, chrysalis of matter, and explore within the non-physical dimensions of the universe. Future evolution. In the last few years of my non-physical explorations, I've come to realize that the more experienced, familiar we are with the non-physical dimensions of the universe, the more expansive are our choices after our physical death. The non-physical spiritual options available to us increase exponentially with our abilities to explore the source of all energy and life. This is more important than I can begin to express. The vast majority of humanity dies in complete ignorance of its spiritual existence. Even though many people possess firm religious beliefs, their first-hand knowledge of their spiritual identity and their continuing existence after death is zero. At the moment of death, they transfer their consciousness from their physical body to their higher frequency non-physical form and are immediately met by their pass-on loved ones and friends. Of course, they're thrilled to discover that they continue to exist and are overjoyed to be reunited with their loved ones. Over the next few days and weeks, they are interrogated into, or reintegrated, not interrogated, but you might as well be interrogated as well, but reintegrated into a new virtual reality and begin to adapt and conform within their respective social groups. This is not good. This collective feeling of togetherness brings and holds millions of people together in magnificent non-physical conscious environments. At least I don't think it's good. Truly, I'm seeing over and over again the message of the collective, the beehive, and the group it's quite dangerous to our souls and our full expression of our essence and what we possibly could be. So that is something to think about. Different groups of people hold different concepts of heaven. For example, the Islamic perspective differs from the Christian viewpoint. Keep in mind that the non-physical environments are thought responsive. Each major religion social group has created its own concept of heaven according to that group's beliefs and convictions. Many of these energy environments are extremely old and well established by the collective consciousness of their inhabitants. This scares me. I don't like it what it's like here now. Imagine what it's going to be like there. Ugh. As a result, the heaven that each of us experiences after death is molded by the group consciousness of its non-physical inhabitants. Much as in the physical world, most people are content to adapt to the conscious reality inhabited and created by their friends and loved ones. And why not? It's incredibly pleasant when compared to matter. There are magnificent landscapes and environments to discover and explore, and all the most beautiful and inspiring sights of Earth are available, plus much more. Every tree and blade of grass radiate a vibrant spectrum of color that's beyond our imagination. Everything, plants, animals, and Earth itself is composed of light, and the matrix, a matrix of thought-responsive energy manifests whatever the inhabitants focus on. It's only natural that the inhabitants would conclude that this must be the ultimate reality, heaven. It's interesting, I film multiple groups of orbs moving in unison. And you can see the streaks that they create, the little, what we would call from a plane, contrails. And yet, I just wonder how much of them are being very independent. It's almost like there's something, I don't know, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of things I missed, and I don't really like the idea of just becoming part of a group again, just to become a bug, like a bee. You know what I mean? I'd like my individual journey. I don't mind interacting with people and sharing my journey and sharing theirs and coming in and out of it, but I want my own journey. I don't know about you. Other people feel differently, to each their own, I guess. These magnificent non-physical environments are assumed to be heaven, and compared to the physical existence, these conscious environments are heaven. They are free of death and disease and decay and crime and so on. I'm sure there's other things more sinister that we don't recognize. It's a very dualistic creation. If it's like that here in the physical realm, I'm sure it's a lot that way on the other side too. Which for some reason we just can't focus on. We can't talk on both sides of this thing. The good, the bad. The dark, the light. The day, the night. We just can't do it. We just assume it's only going to be like this on the physical realm. But it's clearly, if we're talking about multidimensional parallel universes, existences, dimensions, then yeah, you can just imagine. But that is all part of the journey, isn't it? Continuous? They talk about the wars in heaven in many different sacred texts. So to assume that's not going to be there at some level, that's kind of be naive in my book. You can't say that all these people were wrong. And, anyways, let's get back to this. There's only one problem. The vast majority of the non-physical inhabitants, billions of them, are unaware that other, even more magnificent energy dimensions exist. What? How do we know this? Just beyond the limits of their non-physical perception. So they're captured in some kind of non-physical cage, prison, kind of like we are now. There's something to think about. Look at it that way. Prisons, cages, always offer limitations, not total freedom of expression. They're cages. At least that's one way of looking at it. These spectacular energy dimensions consist of endless frequencies of pure energy and light, each more radiant than the last, a progression of living light existing far beyond our frail concepts of form and substance and continuing into the very heart of the multidimensional universe. This information is important because the first step to expanding our awareness is to recognize the various limits we place upon ourselves, both physical and spiritual. This knowledge points out the need for all of us to extend our perception and experience beyond the dense limits around us. Once we develop an ability to explore beyond the boundaries of our bodies, we can implement the same ability in our future existence within our non-physical home. Developing our ability to explore beyond the body has profound implications for all of us. Our ability to experience the various non-physical frequencies levels of the universe depends upon our personal ability to transcend our current energy limits. In effect, once we learn to transcend our physical limits, we can use the same ability after death to experience even greater regions of the universe. Currently, there are those who can raise their personal vibratory rate and explore multiple dimensions of the universe. Let's try this again. Currently, there are those who can raise their personal vibratory rate and explore multiple dimensions of the universe. These unique individuals are not limited to a single dimension or environment. The ability to explore beyond our current physical limits is an essential element of our evolution from physically immersed creatures to unlimited spiritual beings. Only by transcending our... They mix this New Age stuff with this stuff. Dense limits can we ever hope to consciously express ourselves throughout the multidimensional universe. It is our destiny to evolve to the point where all of us will have the ability to extend ourselves, our consciousness, through the entire length and breadth of the universe. All of us are interdimensional beings currently focusing our attention upon a single dimension of energy matter. Out of body and near-death experiences, dreams, altered states of consciousness, even death itself are evidence of our multidimensional nature. Consciously recognizing and personally experiencing our non-physical nature is a major concept, and our individual is a major step in our let me try this. Consequently, recognizing and personally experiencing our non-physical nature is a major step in our individual evolution. Eventually, all of us will evolve to a point where we are able to consciously experience and explore the entire universe. This will occur when our species grows to recognize that we and the universe are the same, multidimensional. I don't know about that, but I think most people probably inherently and instinctively know that already, in private at least. After 20 years of personal out-of-body exploration, I am certain that we are evolving through matter. We are using biological life forms as instruments of expression. Our physical bodies are the tools we use for experience and growth. Each birth exploration into matter furthers our progress by increasing our experience. Every physical life form is using and controlling a temporary biological vehicle for its evolution. Really? I don't know about that one. Like the proverbial butterfly, each living organism sheds its temporary biological vehicle in order to continue its journey within the refined energy levels of the multidimensional universe. I guess. Evolution is much more than our eyes can see. It is the movement and change of consciousness from the simpler biological life forms into the progressively more complex and organized and non-physical life forms. Each life form continues its evolutionary journey within the multidimensional universe. Each continues to grow and change, slowly learning and adapting to its new challenges and adventures, to its new forms of expression. To truly comprehend evolution, we must explore and observe the substructure of the universe, the non-molecular energy structures, and the systems that cause the physical changes we perceive around us. Einstein's dream. The dream of Einstein and every other physicist has been to understand and explain the structure of the universe. For many decades, physicists have hoped to discover a single theory that explains and unites all energy, space, and time concepts. This single unified theory is often referred to as grand unification. Imagine that. It's just like there's certain elements, certain people, and certain groups in this world that just, this their dream is this Unitarian, ecumenical kind of notion. It's not just religious, but it's scientific and everything else. I don't know. I think the biggest problem is that you and I have a problem with each and every one of us having our own individual ideas, thoughts, and opinions. And we have a hard time appreciating that. And I think part of that is the culture in which we are this pyramidal system that we're in, that keeps us from really appreciating diverse thought and concepts, even if those thoughts and concepts violate our basic worldview and points of view. That's the reason why there's change, is when we are tolerant of other people's opinions and points of view and worldviews, and we can unify them in a more constructive way, which is not about consciously all becoming like one big giant beehive. Far from that. It should be the complete opposite. When we think about the expansion of the universe, what at least how I see it, part of it is the expansion of the universe is that each and every soul, spirit becomes their own, becomes closer to their true essence, their true being. Some people say we become like gods. I'm not quite sure if that's the right wording, honestly. But regardless of that, that's not my agenda. My agenda, and most people's agenda, is never even to become Heavenly Father or the ruling God over others. Now, others may want that. Some of us just want to have that pureness of freedom. What it really means in freedom, right? Ignorance does not lead us to freedom. It leads us to bondage and groupthink. So always keep that in the back of your mind if you can. Even if you disagree with me today. As time goes on, you will realize that it's valuable to have good friends. But good friends can have disagreements. And in fact, our disagreements and our fruitful, energetic debates can help us to think clearly. It's a valuable thing. But the way we're going about it, most of us have become so poisoned by learning against learning and never learning the basic skills of communication and debate, which is an art form, that we can never get to that point of having intelligent conversations. one thing I notice about many of us, and I at times have to work on it myself, is to be able to just to be quiet and let the other person speak. Even if you recognize flaws in their prepositions and their arguments, sometimes one of the greatest teachers you'll ever have is not the words that come out of somebody else's mouth, but the words that come out of your own mouth. And when you realize that you said something that makes absolutely no sense, and you go, well, I better work on that, you recognize that yourself that there needs to be change. Not when somebody else recognizes that there's something that needs to be changed or has an opinion that something else needs to be changed, but when you realize you need to have something to be changed. Saying that, in growth in all aspects of life, we're all at different levels of rising to our ultimate potential and descending to a lower potential. It's called birth, life, and death. The cycle of life. Now, let's get back to this because I just went on another tangent. I'm so sorry. Most physicists now believe that undeserved energy reactions are occurring just beyond our current technological vision. I don't think so. I think a big part of it is there's a very subtle information that's being hidden from us. And I look at this technology and what it's doing to us is giving us the illusion that we're learning all this great information, but it's ensnaring us in the end. Think about the metaverse again. Think about this number G and that number G. Think of all the towers all over the place. Think of all the electronic gadgetry on us. Think about how in the process we're having a more synthetic, artificial relationship with others. In some ways. In some ways it's actually better as well. There's always, remember, it's a dualistic system. There's always going to be good and bad in everything. Everything. Even the things we love the most. The people that we love the most. Even ourselves. Yeah. Anyways, let's get on to this. As modern science explored in the heart of matter, as modern science explored into the heart of matter, an incredible discovery was made. Elemental physical particles possess no inherent material attributes or properties. Okay, think about what was just said there. You think that went through. The primary building blocks of matter become progressively frequency-like. That discovery has far-reaching implications. When we recognize the frequency-like nature of the physical particles, the concepts of multiple dimensions of energy are not as far-fetched as they may first appear. For example, Newton's classic experiment with the prism showed that visible light contains different frequencies that appear as colors. The various light frequencies exist together within the same space-time that we observe, yet each frequency of light also exists completely separate from the others. The electromagnetic wave spectrum displays an incredible array of radiation, from gamma rays to long radio waves. Since different frequencies of energy coexist within the same space-time that we occupy, we couldn't enter energy environments and possibly even worlds coexist. Let's try this again. Why could entire energy environments and possibly even worlds coexist with our visible physical universe? That's the question. This question is taken seriously by modern physicists around the world. Maybe I should try this again so that it's spoken properly. Since different frequencies of energy coexist within the same space-time that we occupy, Why couldn't entire energy environments and possibly even worlds coexist with our visible physical universe? This question is taken seriously by modern physicists around the world. Physicists are now convinced that something. Oh, it's brutal to have dyslexia. This must be brutal for you guys to hear, but I'm sharing my journey with you anyways. Why? Because primarily the first person who's going to benefit from this is me. Even if it's the illusion of teaching to anyone else but me. Outside of me, excuse me. So anyways, let's get back to this. Physicists are now convinced that something of substantial proportion exists just beyond our technological vision. This unseen, unexplored energy is thought to be the key to understanding the structure of matter and the universe. I believe that Einstein's ultimate dream of grand unification can be realized by developing new methods to explore and verify the reality of the multidimensional universe. The scientific recognition of the multidimensional universe and the continuum of consciousness is the primary missing element of our comprehension of the unseen nature and structure of all things throughout the universe. Grand unification can be realized if modern physicists are willing to refocus their attention from elementary particles to non-physical wave functions. This is not a dream but a reality, patiently waiting for our scientific perceptions to evolve beyond our current obsession with physical particles. And I could only put any money on it that when he wrote this some 30 years ago, that they were already doing that. I guarantee you they were already doing that. There were plenty of physicists already thinking beyond what he's thinking. The new frontier of science. And here's once again, when we think about science and we think about science and mysticism and esocism. I can't say the word right now. I'm going to stay focused on this because I'm going to lose my focus. Esoism? It's not. No, not. It's not exoticism. What can I say it? I've said it like 1,000 times. I know why it is, because I got MS. And there's times when it's just... You guys know what the word is. The new frontier of science. Man, I can't believe I can't say it. Mysticism's good enough. I've said that word like 1,000 times. I can't say it now. And I'm not tired. I'm just out of it, as usual. The new frontier of science. In the 21st century, science will recognize that the answers to the elusive physical mysteries of our existence and the cosmology of the universe and the unseen nature and structure of matter, the evolution of our species, and even the existence of life after death can be found only by exploring the unseen substructure of the universe. This recognition will be a major evolutionary step of science and a turning point in human evolution. Slowly we will move from being an externally focused biological species into being a increasingly multidimensional species. And this will happen, by the way. And by the way, oh boy, I got stuff to tell you. The manner of human beings. And there's two manner of human beings. And it turns out that we need to catch up with a different manner of human being. It was hidden in plain sight right in front of our eyes. Okay. This process of change has already begun. Astrophysicists, quantum physicists, particle physicists are even now conducting extensive experiments that support the concept of a multidimensional universe. This trend will continue throughout the 21st century once we begin to explore the interior of the universe. A new age of scientific research and discovery will emerge. Modern science will expand its current observations of matter and reality beyond all current concepts. Science will begin to explore the unseen source of physical energy and matter. As we evolve, we will begin to chart the unseen universe, much as astronomers are now charting the visible universe. I think we're going to do a hell of a lot more than what these astronomers are doing with the visible universe. The exploration of the interior of the universe is a massive endeavor, reaching far beyond our current intellectual concept of time, space, and energy. The exploration of the unseen dimensions is a task that all of us will eventually confront, for it is our birthright and our destiny to explore beyond our primitive biological vehicles and experience the magnificence of our true home within the multidimensional universe. It is interesting he brings up birthrights, because that's another thing that's connected with these two manner of beings, of humans, human beings. And you'll be shocked to see the connection with these two manner of human beings with things like Sasquatch, and Bigfoot, and us, humans, right? Homo sapiens. It's quite shocking. And I got a feeling that the tables are going to be reversed in a way that we don't quite understand yet. But in the process, Esau, if you will, the other manner of people, as offensive as it may seem to us, and we may seem to them, somehow has some connection with raising us to a new level of being. And believe me, New Age has very little to do with it. And being positive has very little to do with it. And lovey feelings has very little to do with it. Because love is not something that's faked or something that's just simply projected. Like magic. It either is or it isn't. Just like light. Chapter 4. The transformative qualities. Knowledge is the antidote for fear. Ralph Waldo Emerson. The benefits of outer-body exploration extend far beyond the limits of our physical sense and our intellect. After our out-of-body experience, many people report an inner awakening of their spiritual identity, a transformation of their self-concept. They see themselves as more than matter, more aware and alive. They express a profound inner wisdom based on personal spiritual experience. And I don't know, I've seen an awful lot of people that express that or believe that, but when you listen to them and you're breaking down what they're saying, they're even more confused than the person who's simply operating in a physical base level. There's something seriously wrong with the interactions that we're having and our understanding. And I think part of it might be because we're leaning to the wrong groups of entities on the other side in the astral plane. But it seems to be the case. Many report being connected to something greater than themselves, connected to the very source of life itself. They describe a powerful feeling of breaking through a dense barrier of ignorance and fear and limitations until you start hearing what they have to say. And then once you start hearing what they have to say, you go, my God, those people are more confused than I am. What the heck happened to them? And what's even worse is the total denial on everybody's part. I feel there's some serious victimization that's gone on with a lot of these people who their afterlife and out-of-body experiences. I do believe this. I not only just believe this, I can see it. This is, remember, we live in a dualistic system. There's darkness and light. There's good and evil. And many times, that which is truly evil appears as light until you pierce it, until you shine your light into it to see if there's any true darkness. And when that happens, you'll see it. The contradictions and the BS. And then you realize, yeah, I need to find allies, some greater than myself, that aren't lying and deceiving me and manipulating me. Many report being connected to something greater than themselves, connected to the very source of life itself. They describe a powerful feeling, that is, of breaking through a dense barrier of ignorance, fear, and limitations. Now remember, feelings is not the same thing as knowing. Belief is not the same thing as knowing. It never will be. No, they're never going to be the same thing. During my workshops, I've often hear reports of an increase of personal knowledge and interconnection to spirit, whatever that means. Many describe a dramatic expansion of their ability to perceive, a new capability extended far beyond their physical limits, an overwhelming sense of knowing based on direct personal experience. Perhaps the most important benefit of our out-of-body experience is that we recognize our personal ability to discover the answer for ourselves. The most important part of all that. We do have the ability, believe it or not, to find the answers for ourselves, if we so put the energy into it. But the one thing is, we were hoping, right, like all of us do, that all it takes is watching a 2-hour documentary or watching 40 hours of documentaries to come to that knowledge. Nope. It's a life. It's the journey. It's part of the journey, man. Anyways, thank you for listening to me.
You're going to try. Go all the way. Otherwise, don't even start. If you're going to try, go all the way. This could mean losing girlfriends, wives, relatives, jobs, and maybe your mind.
If I can